Well, today started out as an okay day, but now it's raining. A little rain out here. But anyway, I wanted to come over here and talk about, conversation when it comes to politics, when it comes to Black history, when it comes to American talking points and that things of that nature. So I realized that a lot of people they don't actually do research. They don't read books on politics. They have never read like history books. Like my reading stems from W.E.B. Du Bois to Dr. Francis Cress Welsing, Dr. Francis Cress Welsing to a lot of white writers like John H. Wright and things of that nature. Like, if you're going to have a conversation about the foundation of America and its history and things of that nature, you have to have more than just the basic high school education because that education is already flawed. They were already teaching us things that either weren't true or they were leaving out real big, facts within the truth, or they kind of just layer it to how, they want you to perceive it. Now, especially when it comes to politics, like first of all, when I was in high school, my major was business. So, we did the stock markets, we did, economics, we did, building, infrastructure and foundations, within your country or whatever. So, we did it like those were actual projects, and I remember getting A's on all of those projects. Also, I've read a lot of books written by W.B. Du Bois, John H. Wright, and a lot of other foundational, Americans who were around the time during the foundation of America. So these people, they were here and they wrote books on their accounts of their experiences as well as what was going on. So, I read a lot. Like my book collection is extensive. I can't wait to get it out of storage, but I read a lot, a lot. I even read books on, city formations and, just things that, people don't normally take the time out to read, and when I had these conversations with people about economics and government and politics and Black history, another thing about Black history is a lot of Black people did not take a Black history class and a real one at that. If you had an African American history class, that's not Black history. If you had a white teacher, that's not Black history. If your teacher used the book, it's not Black history. My teacher, Ishmael Jimenez, we had a Black history class sophomore year. And when I tell you that class was the shit, that class was the shit. He did not pull no punches. He didn't play no games. He told us the truth. He taught us shit that we weren't even supposed to be learning. Like, at all. We weren't supposed to be learning this shit. But, he taught us it. It's a little rain, I'm putting my hood on. But he taught us it, and, I'm grateful for it. But I've noticed that I've been having conversations with people a lot lately. And usually when I have conversations, sometimes I might give my opinion, but for the most part, I go off of facts. Like when I talk about, Donald Trump being in office and how he's not the first of his, the first of, his presidency, the first person of his type of presidency to become president, and I talk about economics and I talk about, business and things like that, people automatically assume because they are uneducated that you're arguing opinions. And it's like, must I show you my book collection? Must I show you the research that I do? Like, I'm one of those weirdos. I will sit on YouTube all day and look at, like, a whole bunch of educational videos. I read a lot of books, I read a lot of articles. Like, I could be dead ass just coming back from the club, drunk as hell, and I'll still pull up an article about, something interesting online and I'll read it. And something struck me because not some lady, I was having a conversation with a friend, and she was like, oh, well, she's about, 40, and I'm 23. So she's like, oh, well, you're overeducated. And it struck me when she said that because a lot of people always say that, oh, you're overeducated. And like, what does that even mean? What does that even mean? If you don't have anything to back up your so-called opinion or, your so-called fact, then don't try to have the conversation with the person. Just say, I'm not familiar in the area. Like if it's an area where I don't read a lot or I'm not familiar with or I can't really give factual information behind it, I'm not going to have a conversation with somebody about that topic. What the fuck? You don't know what you're talking about. So what are you doing? You know what I'm saying? But for people to go and say you're overeducated, that kind of it plays a part into the whole, people just want to talk without having actual talking points. Just talking, like just listen to the people who are out here dissing the 80 West movement. None of their talking points are real. None of their talking points make sense. Like anything they say, you could debunk it just like that because they don't never make sense. And so my problem with that is you have people who do study, who are up on it, who do understand, and when we're trying to educate and give people the real on the situation, they'll tell you something like you're overeducated or they're done with the conversation. And to me, that's just hilarious. That's just hilarious. Like I remember having a conversation about, foreign blacks and stuff like that, and or just foreign people who come over to America in general, how how they disrespect the foundation of Black Americans. And somebody was saying something like, oh, most Americans wouldn't even pass the American citizenship test, and I'm just like, well, how anti fucking American are you? Who exactly are you fighting for in your whole progressive movement? Are you fighting for Latinos, immigrants, and gays, or are you fighting for your own people? This is the black woman that said this. So I just kind of feel like people need to read more. We need to get off of YouTube, and I haven't heard to say that, and I'm making a video now. But we need to read more books, pay attention to politics and economics, because that's the only way that foundational Black Americans are going to be able to survive at this point in time. We need to get our economics in order. But people seem to not be interested. They just want to argue, and tell that you're wrong when they don't ever make sense. Like, for example, we was having a conversation on black businesses, and instead of talking about positive black businesses and all the good black businesses that are out here, they want to focus on the negative and the bad black businesses, as if all other cultures and all the people don't have bad business practices as well. So that's what I don't like. Anytime it comes to talking about black Americans, it's always negative. Nobody ever wants to speak about us in a positive light, but when it comes to other people, they can find a way to do that. So anyway, my rant from walking to the store is just basically about, people being undereducated and then telling people who are quote unquote overeducated that, they know too much, or, they're being over opinionated when that's not even the fact. The fact is that I read, I study, you don't. So how about you get on that? Know what I'm saying?